What's up, nerds? My name is Steve from Flipping the Nerd, and this is my top 10 favorite movies featuring pro wrestlers. Pro wrestlers, let's face it, are basically actors already. Everybody knows that pro wrestling is a predetermined entertainment show. It is very physical, and I have a lot of respect for them, and I've loved pro wrestling practically my entire life, although I haven't watched it so much lately. But I am still what I would consider a pro wrestling fan, and obviously I'm a movie fan as well. So the melding of the two is a list that made me excited to talk about, and that's what we're going to do today. One little rule for the list, these are my top 10 favorite films featuring pro wrestlers. They're not my favorite performances from these pro wrestlers. So it could be a great film and a bad performance. It doesn't matter. I'm judging it by the film, not the performance. And it's only one film per pro wrestler. So it's going to be 15 different people that I'm going to talk about, 5 honorable mentions, and 10 from the actual list. So let's get right into it, starting with Suburban Commando featuring The Undertaker. The movie also stars Hulk Hogan, but I'm picking another film for him. This one I'm picking because it is the only film The Undertaker has done, I believe. I know he's done TV shows and stuff, but as a film, I think it might be his only appearance. He's by far my favorite pro wrestler of all time. And this was, I believe, before he started in the WWE as The Undertaker. I think this was in the transition between his time in WCW and WWE. So it was very cool to see. I saw it after his character had debuted because I did recognize him. And the movie's okay. I mean, it's not a great film. His role is not that great either. It's about an alien space pilot, which played by Hulk Hogan, who crash lands to Earth, and then he has to deal with a family, which is led by Christopher Lloyd. And the movie's not that great. The Undertaker plays a mercenary that's sent to catch the Hulk Hogan character. Something Shepard, I think was his name in the movie. And like I said, the movie's not great, but I want to give it an honorable mention because it does feature my favorite pro wrestler of all time, and that's why I want to do that. Then we have Blade 3, featuring Triple H. Triple H is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time as well. If you saw, I actually put it in the comments, not in the comments, in the description. I did my top 10 favorite pro wrestlers, and he appeared on it as well. He is not that great of an actor, unfortunately. He's great as a talking and wrestling, but he sucks as an actor. I mean, Blade 3, The Chaperone, oh my god. Watch The Chaperone just to see how bad that movie is. It is just hot garbage. But Blade 3 I thought was kind of enjoyable. It's my least favorite of the Blade films. There is a lot of cheese to it, but I do enjoy the Blade films. I mean, it was a good Marvel movie before Marvel movies were good, and I did quite enjoy it, and that's why I want to give an honorable mention at least. Triple H's role is just hot garbage, just like his acting career, which is really a shame. You know, he's like the nicest guy too. I think he was also on my top 10 favorite celebrities that I've met because he was awesome. But as an actor, woof. But deserving an honorable mention at least. Then we have Jingle All the Way. This one features an appearance by The Big Show. He plays a Santa Claus in the factory that builds fake Turbomans. This film is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and you know I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I did a top 10 list about Arnold Schwarzenegger films. See, it's all coming together. It's just all melding together. There's not much to say about Big Show's performance. He's basically just a big guy who's there to fight Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. But I did really enjoy this film. I watch it every single Christmas. It's not one of my favorites, and you'll see that when I do my top 10 favorite Christmas films in December. But it is definitely something that I want to mention. Big Show's been in a few films. I know he's also been in Waterboy and probably some other stuff, but it's his, because I watch it every year, it's his performance in Jingle All the Way that is memorable to me. Then we have a horror film, See No Evil, starring Kane. I love horror, and to see a horror film featuring a pro wrestler was really, really cool, so I went to see it right away. I like the first one more so than the second one. I think it's a decent horror film. It's not great, but I do like the Kane character. I do see. I can see this character be really good, like as a horror icon. Just the movie just didn't do it all that right. It's basically he's in a hotel and people go there and he kills people. There's nothing too special about it, but I thought it was deserving of at least an honorable mention. And finally, this one might surprise you: Princess Bride, featuring Andre the Giant as the lovable giant in that movie. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for Princess Bride. I don't like that type of comedy so much, like the slapstick kind of over the top comedy. So that's why it's only an honorable mention. But I recognize that this is a huge film for people. It has a lot of nostalgia. People really love this film. And to see Andre the Giant, I mean, God, he's just such a bigger than life character and person that I had to give it at least a nod. And he was very good in it. You know, unlike all the other ones in this list so far, I thought Andre the Giant did a great job at playing basically a lovable giant. So now let's get into the top 10. Number 10, Bumblebee, featuring John Cena. John Cena is somebody who's really starting to get into acting. You see him more and more. He's been in a lot of comedies, and he's really funny. I really dig his style in the comedies. He's just a really lovable guy. But the movie that I enjoyed the most from him was Bumblebee. I have a little bit of Transformers fatigue, I'm going to admit. I loved the first one. Second one was okay. Third one I didn't like. Fourth one I didn't like. Fifth one I didn't like. So, you know, there was a lot of fatigue going into this series by now. But when I went to see Bumblebee last year, it really surprised me. It brought me back to the love I have for Transformers. John Cena's role isn't particularly memorable. He plays like a colonel or something, and he's there to, you know, kind of stop Bumblebee at first and then help with Bumblebee. It's just like a whole thing. The movie is good though, and that's why I thought it was John Cena's best role. But I do believe that one day we're going to see some John Cena breakthrough performance, because I think he has the talent for it. I think he has the drive for it, and I look forward to seeing what he does next. Number 9, The Devil's Rejects, featuring Diamond Dallas Page. The Devil's Rejects is an amazing sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. It's a movie I adore very much. It's a very cool sequel as well. I like where they took the characters of, House of a Thousand Corpses, Captain Spaulding, and all that stuff. And I just really, really enjoy this film. DDP's performance isn't anything to write home about, but I do like him a lot. I do his yoga sometimes, which is like a thing. Look it up. It's not like a regular yoga thing. It's just like anyway. This is not about yoga. This is about pro wrestling and movies. So Devil's Rejects. I don't know what to say. There's a third one coming out, 3 from Hell, which is really cool. And I do really enjoy Devil's Rejects. But like I said, DDP's performance is just in there. You'll see pictures of what he looked like in there, and that's basically it. But he was in it, so it counts. Devil's Rejects was a good choice, I think, for number 9. Number 8, They Live, featuring Rowdy Roddy Piper. I really like Roddy Piper. He is one of the classic wrestling villains of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And They Live was a fantastic film. It's a John Carpenter film. It's about a guy who fights these aliens that you can see through his glasses. There's his infamous line in the movie where he says, "I'm here to take names and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum." It's just a really cool movie. It's very unique. It's actually sad that Roddy Piper didn't do a ton of other films after that. He did do some films, but nothing as memorable as this, and it's really a shame because he's someone who definitely had the talent. I mean, the way he talked in wrestling was fantastic, so definitely deserves a spot on the list. Number 7, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. Definitely not as good as the first one. The first one is among my favorite films of all time, but still a pretty good film overall. And this film features Kevin Nash. He plays Super Shredder in the film. So you don't really even see Kevin Nash in the film because he's under so much like costume and makeup. But to know that Kevin Nash was the ultimate villain in this film is really, really cool. I actually had Grandma's Boy written first because Kevin Nash also appears in that as somebody who's moving, like he's like a mover, so he doesn't have a big role in it. And I was kind of toying between the two, but I think I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 more than Grandma's Boy, but it was really close, so take that in mind. He was also great in Punisher, FYI. So yeah, TMNT 2, I think I have a little grudge against this film ever since I saw it the first time when I was a kid, because I wanted Bebop and Rocksteady so bad, and I didn't get it. We got Toga and Razor, and that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Thankfully, we finally got a proper Bebop and Rocksteady in, what was it called? The other TMNT 2. I think it was Something in the Shadows. I don't remember. But, so that was cool. And that's why I think it's not one of my favorites, but still probably my favorite Kevin Nash film, and that's what counts for this list. Number 6. Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle, featuring The Rock. Obviously, you know that The Rock is an actor now. He is probably the biggest actor going on in Hollywood right now, and has been for a few years now. The amount of movies this guy puts out is just insane. I mean, only like Sam Jackson probably puts out more movies than The Rock at this point. And there's a lot of them that are good. Not all of them, but a lot of them that are good. And I think this is my favorite one of his movies. It's just so much fun. And I didn't expect it like another Jumanji film, because the first Jumanji was so good. Second one, the Zathura, was no good. But I actually really like this one. It pays, respect to the original, but it kind of goes into its own way. And I'm also excited for the sequel. I'm going to have a top 10 films by Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, one day, because I do think there's a lot to talk about there. But spoiler alert, unless it changes from here to then, because it could change. I could think of a list tomorrow and it'll be a completely different list. That's the thing. These lists are based off the way I feel like on that day, or on that week, because I do lists a little early. But anyway, Jumanji, great film, great performance by The Rock. I really enjoyed him in this one, and that's why I put it on the list. Number 5. The Expendables, featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin's done a few lists as well. Yes. He does top 10s on YouTube that no one watches as well. So good job, Steve Austin. No, he's done a few films as well. And, a lot of them were stinkers, but there are some decent ones in there. But I think my favorite one, I know my favorite one that he's done is The Expendables. As a huge fan of action films in the 1980s and 90s, to see all these people come together into a film was just mind-blowing. I'd always wanted to see Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Van Damme. I know that was a sequel, but still, it's the Expendables series. And Bruce Willis and all these like guys that I grew up watching come together. And to have one of the villains as Stone Cold Steve Austin was just like the cherry on top. And I absolutely adored this movie. Steve Austin does a good job. Nothing special. He just plays kind of a henchman, but still very, very cool to see. I love Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestler, and that's why I put it on the list. Number 4. Rocky 3, featuring Hulk Hogan. Thunder Lips, baby! I love Rocky 3. I am a huge fan of the Rocky series, so much so that my aunt only knows me. I don't see my aunt all that often, but if you ask her, what do you think of your nephew Steve? All she'll say is he likes popcorn and the Rocky films. That's all she knows about me, because I'm such a fan of the Rocky series, and Rocky 3 is amazing. I guess Mr. T could have also been technically put on this list, because he's also a wrestler, kind of, for a little while there. I mean, he was at WrestleMania 1. But it's Hulk Hogan that I'm putting at the forefront. He plays a wrestler called Thunder Lips who fights Rocky in an exhibition match. It's just a hilarious scene. This is when the Rocky series started taking a little bit in the turn in the more like comedic side. And this was probably the biggest focus on that in Rocky 3. It was a cool scene, and I do like Hulk Hogan, despite all his personal issues, which I don't agree with, but I do liked watching his movies when I was a kid. He's done a bunch. Mr. Nanny, Thunder in Paradise, No Holds Barred. Like, he's been in a few movies, but I think there's nothing better than his appearance in Rocky 3. So that's why I put it on the list. Number 3. Spider-Man, featuring the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Anyone who knows how Spider-Man came to be, it was basically he fought a wrestler called Bonesaw, I think, or the Crusher. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I read it, but basically he fights a pro wrestler at some point, and that kind of helped in his origin story. And they put that in the movie, and the wrestler they put him against was the Macho Man, Randy Savage, who played Bonesaw. And it was just such an awesome performance. We didn't get to see Macho Man in too many movies. In fact, I don't really remember any other movies featuring Macho Man, off the top of my head anyway, and I'll remember when I'm editing, of course. But I just really loved his performance. He didn't change at all. He's basically just a Macho Man with a different name and different outfit, which is hilarious. But I adore Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero, and it was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, the 67 collection. So seeing the first Spider-Man film was such a huge thrill, and to see Macho Man in it was just fantastic. So yeah, easily had to put it on my list. Number 2, Demolition Man, featuring Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse Ventura and Stallone, Schwarzenegger had a bunch of films together in the 1990s. He was in Commando, and he was in Running Man and stuff like that. And in Demolition Man, he plays one of the henchmen for the villain, Marcus Phoenix, who is played brilliantly by Wesley Snipes. Demolition Man is one of my favorite action films of all time. Like I said previously, I loved action films as a kid, and I still do to this day, especially stuff by Stallone and Schwarzenegger. And to see Demolition Man with Stallone was just such a fantastic thrill. It's probably in the top 5 movies I've seen the most in my life. At least top 10, because I used to watch this all the time. I just really, really dig the comedy in this. I dig the action scenes. I dig the characters. I think all the characters are fantastic. There's really not much to say about Jesse Ventura in it. He's really just in it as a henchman that you barely see, but technically he was in it, and it gave me a chance to talk about how much I love Demolition Man. So that's why I put it on the list, and I thought I love that film. So yeah, absolutely deserving of a spot. Number 1, Avengers: Infinity War, starring Dave Bautista. When Dave Bautista started playing Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought that was really cool. And then I got to actually see what he was like, and he's one of the best characters. And in Avengers: Infinity Wars, he has some of the best moments in the film. When he thinks he's invisible, but he's so hungry that he wants to eat anyway. Hilarious. Why is Gamora? And just his one-liners, his comedic timing, the whole thing. Dave Bautista is fantastic. And we're seeing him in more and more films now, and I'm really, really digging it. So between the 4 films that he's been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the 2 Guardians films and the 2 Infinity War films, I liked Infinity War better than the 2 Guardians films, although I really love those movies. And I've only seen Endgame once, so because of that, I'm kind of on the fence still as to where it fits in my everything. So that's why I'm giving it to Infinity War. But any of those movies would have topped my list anyway. So that's saying a lot, and I can't wait to see what Dave Bautista does next. Please, oh please, make him Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War, because I think that was like a match made in heaven. So what do you think of my list? I'd love you to tell me what movies featuring pro wrestlers did I miss? Which ones do you like? Let's discuss it. I always love to discuss stuff with you guys in the comments, and I try to reply to everything because I really, really enjoy it, and that's why I do this. Trust me, there's no other reason why I'm doing this than to have fun interactions with you guys. Next week, I'm going to do something fun. It will be my top 10 favorite clowns. I love clowns. One of my best friends, Gabby, is the biggest clown fan that I know, so I know she'll be thrilled to hear that I'm doing this list. And I think that's going to be awesome to talk about. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.